The South Pacific is a very diverse area, ranging from islands such as Fiji, where I was born, through to the highlands of Papua New Guinea, to the urban areas of downtown Sydney, downtown Auckland. All are tremendous mission fields. And on today's program, we'll be looking at these challenging areas. My name is Gary Krause, and welcome to Global Mission Snapshots.
Just before he went up to heaven, Jesus gave us a command. He gave us a mission. Jesus said, "Go. Go unto all the world, telling them of His love." This is our mission. This is our global mission.
Hello and welcome to Global Mission Snapshots. On today's program, buckle your seatbelts as we go flying on a mission plane in Papua New Guinea. This plane has given wings to mission thanks to the support of people around the world who gave generously to mission offerings. We'll also talk to Don Noble from Maranatha Volunteers International, a vital partner in global mission work around the world. Among many other things, Maranatha helps local congregations build their own places of worship, often in just one day. We'll also talk to video producer Dan Weber to get some stories from behind his mission camera. And we'll visit a church plant in Sydney, Australia's largest city. But first up, flying for God.
When the 13th Sabbath offering last came to the South Pacific Division, it was 2006, and a portion of your offerings helped buy a plane for Papua New Guinea. At that time, when the offering was taken, it set a record for the largest 13th Sabbath offering in the history of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Your faithful prayers and financial support helped to purchase a remarkable airplane, one that has an even more remarkable mission, reaching out to the hard-to-reach areas of Papua New Guinea. Many Seventh-day Adventists learned about Papua New Guinea when Eric Weir produced his film, The Cry of New Guinea. The film showed church members all over the world the mission work being done there. Eric Weir spent 40 days following missionary Len Barnard up rough mountain trails, through hot, sticky jungles, over rushing rivers, and finally to the highlands where they met the cannibals of Karamui. There they cared for people's wounds, helped heal the sick, and most importantly, taught them about Jesus. Today, the fruits of this early work can be seen in the lives of the more than 235,000 Adventists currently living in Papua New Guinea. Today, that same trip taken by the pioneer missionaries can be accomplished in about 30 minutes in the new mission plane that was purchased with your offerings. The plane is based in Goroka at the Adventist Aviation Service hangar. The plane's pilot, Roger Millist, is on his second tour of duty in Papua New Guinea as a mission pilot. He returned to Goroka in 2005 and has turned the mission flight service into a top-notch operation. Roger and the plane ferry local missionaries who live and work among the small villages that dot the mountains around Goroka. These missionaries commit at least 1 year of their lives to tell the story of Jesus and His love and forgiveness. As they leave to move on to a new village, tears are shared with the people who have come to love them. The plane is also used to transport teachers, church leaders, and health workers to the small villages and communities scattered throughout the islands of Papua New Guinea. The mission plane excels at getting around to these small mountain villages. Not many planes can land or take off from airstrips that are only several hundred meters in length. Add in the fact that some of the airstrips have close to a 14-degree incline, and it's easy to see why not everyone is skilled enough to do this dangerous type of work. Pastor Millist and the rest of the Adventist aviation staff are truly dedicated to their mission. The mission plane, a Pac XL, can haul large amounts of cargo, as well as up to 12 people at a time. The plane often carries roofing for new churches being built in the jungle, as well as local produce that will be taken back to the larger cities and sold so that people of these remote villages can earn a living. By carrying this cargo for a small fee, the Adventist Aviation Service can help to cover the cost of moving missionaries and church materials around the islands of Papua New Guinea. Through its unique ministry to the people of Papua New Guinea, Adventist Aviation truly is fulfilling the call to take the gospel unto the ends of the earth.
It means a great deal to us to have been able to get into this new turbine-powered aircraft. It has significantly raised our levels of safety and performance for pilots as well as for passengers, and it's great to know almost daily I get emails from people saying you're in our prayers every day. We work in a very challenging area, and to know that people around the world, church members around the world, as well as church members here in the South Pacific Division have supported, as well as church members here in Papua New Guinea, have all banded together with Adventist Aviation with the resources we had. That means a great deal to us. We know we're not alone in what we're doing.
Thank you for your support of the mission offering. Your prayers and financial support have helped to reach God's children, even unto the ends of the earth, even those at the end of a grass runway on a mountain in Papua New Guinea.
Maranatha Volunteers International is a Seventh-day Adventist lay organisation that over the years has involved thousands of people in mission, given them a first-hand, fresh taste of what it's like to be involved. And I'm delighted to welcome Don Noble to our program. Don, the president of Maranatha. The importance of involvement to actually go on a mission trip, how important is that in the life of people who you have seen serving with Maranatha?
Well, firsthand, you know, if a person actually goes out and sees things in the area of mission, their lives are changed. They cannot be the same. You can watch all the pictures you want, videos, even this program, but going out there and personally interacting with the people, looking into their eyes, feeling how they live, sensing their commitment to Jesus Christ, it's powerful and life-changing.
Yeah.
I regularly get people coming up to me and say, why don't you just collect the money from the people that we're going to go and go out there and build whatever you're going to build? Well, I say, well, a couple problems with that. Number one, you're going to give it. You're going to keep the money. And the second one is it's not just about the buildings. It's about the people. And it's not just about the people for which you're building the buildings. It's also about you as an individual going out, primarily North America, but not exclusively, and seeing what God is doing and having it impact you. You come back, it enriches your life, it changes your local church, it changes your commitment, changes your giving patterns. When you change the life and you get the heart,
right,
you've got the individual, and then God can do anything with you.
Now, what are the youngest volunteers that you have sometimes?
Oh, babes in arms.
Yeah.
You know, we've actually started a very, very surprisingly successful project called Family Project. We now have 2 or 3 of them in a year because we can't keep up. We started with a Christmas family project thinking, there's a few people that may not want to just give gifts. Maybe they want to go give a gift to someone else and do it as a family. Boy, that's popular, really popular. We had to add another one in the summer and another one. And so families getting involved and saying, let's teach our children from a young age to be involved in missions. So they take their young kids and we provide programming for them that's a little bit different. And they don't necessarily have to go out and lay brick, but they start thinking mission. How can I help somebody else from a young age?
Fantastic.
And the families want that type of education to be going into their kids. So it's popular.
Yeah.
Really popular.
And you get some older people to go on these trips as well?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Families, you know, everybody defines a family different. You know, it might be the perfect husband, wife, 2 kids, but it can also be a grandfather and a grandson.
Yeah.
It can be an aunt and a niece. It can be a lot of different things, and they decide. So they come usually some kind of a relation between them.
Now, Don, you have so many things going on with Maranatha, but I want to focus on a project called the One Day School. But originally this came out of the one-day church program. Just give us a little bit of background to that.
Yes, it did. Of course, the one-day church program started in cooperation with the Adventist Church, ASI, Maranatha, responding to the huge number of needs around the world for churches. And as you start to build these, you say, isn't it possible, or wouldn't it be useful, to also provide schools? Because the requests started coming as soon as the one-day church started going up. And what we have found since the last General Conference in Atlanta, the requests have been overwhelming, more for schools than for churches. We have requests now, pretty verifiable, of about 80,000 one-day school classrooms.
Wow.
And it's phenomenal because there's many places in the world where churches and traditional evangelism doesn't work, but they can put in a school and they can attract the children, educate them, and that is their form of outreach. So
Wow.
it's really powerful.
That's a nice looking school.
Yes, that's the school comes complete. The church, we let them finish it. Now this is also the big education evangelism center. We do a few of those.
Right.
That's not the one-day program.
Okay.
But the one-day buildings come complete with floor, walls, blackboard, desks, everything. So the next day you can start school.
Wow.
And most of the requests are coming as full campuses.
Oh, is that right?
Oh yeah, we thought it'd be, add a classroom here, a classroom there, but I'll give you examples. Zimbabwe, they not only want a primary school or a secondary school, they've got big pieces of property that the government's given to them. And their request for one school is maybe 15 primary classrooms and 15 or 18 secondary classrooms. That's one school to them.
Yeah.
And we have dozens in these countries. And think of the impact on the children, the communities, and the church in the long run from these buildings. In Haiti, we've got a project directly with ADRA for 100 classrooms down there after the earthquake. What an impact. It's powerful. Education, it's one of the great things of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. Train up a child. Teach them about Jesus from the time they're young and see what happens in their life and the lives of their family.
Oh, yeah.
It is the future, I think.
How many schools have you put up so far?
Oh, just getting started on the school side, about 300.
Wow, fantastic.
It sounds small, but
no, not at all. That's
unless you have to drive to each one of them,
That's right.
then it becomes a big deal. But they're starting to grow. We built one down in Honduras with a big education evangelism center and 30-some of the one-day classrooms, a school for 1,400 students.
Fantastic.
And it goes up quickly.
Don, thanks for joining us today and sharing with us. This is an exciting project touching thousands of lives and just growing, growing, growing. If you'd like to be involved in Maranatha, just go to maranatha.org, and there you can find out all the information you need to know about volunteering and building schools and churches. In this segment, we are going to travel to the South Pacific, a region that ranges from the small Pacific Islands through to the large cities of Sydney, Melbourne, Auckland. Dan Webber has joined me. Dan is the video producer for Adventist Mission. And Dan, it is really a diverse place, the South Pacific.
It's a fun place to visit, but of course you're from there, so you know that.
I'm biased, of course.
Yes.
And you went there, I guess, within the last year or two.
A couple years ago, and I'm actually going there again in a couple of months.
And you went up to the highlands of Papua New Guinea.
Yeah.
And so you experienced what it was like to ride in the mission plane that we just saw a few minutes ago.
Yeah, if you have a fear of flying, I wouldn't suggest that trip.
Well, I understand that flying in the highlands of Papua New Guinea is some of the most dangerous flying you can do.
It is. And as we saw in the video earlier, you're landing on little grass strips, basically on the side of a mountain, and it's not flat.
Yeah.
And sometimes you're landing uphill, sometimes you're landing downhill based on the wind, and this plane is pretty amazing. It can land and take off in very short distances. And
of course it saves days and days of trekking through the trails to these villages. The first Adventist missionaries that really went there, and they would talk about how they would have to trek for 15 to 20 days to get from one village to another, down through the valleys and the jungles and back up. And now you can do that flight in 15 minutes. Yeah, amazing. Yeah, I can remember sitting in the front seat at camp meetings listening to missionaries telling those stories. I remember listening to Pastor Len Barnard, who actually trekked in with a cinematographer, Eric Weir, and actually went to a group of cannibals for the first time they'd ever seen a Caucasian. It's one of the most amazing films you could ever see. Yeah. Now, Dan, what is happening? What is the plane doing? What is the plane helping do in Papua New Guinea? The plane ferries missionaries from, and these, we think of missionaries, you tend to think of Westerners going over to a different culture. A lot of these are people who are from the Papua New Guineans who have dedicated their lives to go work up in the highlands, or they're other people from the same division who are going to work. And they'll work for a year or two in a village, and so the plane will fly them out there to this village. And I remember one of the stops we made where we were transferring a pioneer and his wife from one village to another. The whole village came out, and there were tears, and there was crying, and there was wailing because the village was upset that this couple was leaving, and they understood why. But the pioneer's wife, and she was hugging the other women, and she didn't want to let go, and so there was a real emotional relationship there. They really cared about each other, and that was really nice to see. And so the plane will then take them and their supplies and ferry them over to another village. And it also moves roofing material for churches. And so they'd have these long, thin sheets of tin. We'd load up the whole plane and fly it up and then drop it off, and then they'd tear it off into the bush to go build a church. It was great. Now, we talk about global mission pioneers here all the time, but just in case some of our viewers don't know, what is a global mission pioneer? A global mission pioneer is someone who understands the local culture of the area you're trying to reach. And we say that global mission goes to the unreached areas where people don't know about Jesus, don't know about God. But you're taking someone who understands the language and the culture and putting them into that environment. But it's not just, they're not just there to preach. They're there to become part of the community, to make friends with the community, to make the community feel like they care about them and that they're involved, and they're there to care for their needs, not just preach the gospel and then leave. So the mission plane, who flies the plane? Roger Mills is the CEO of what's called Adventist Aviation. He's one of the pilots there, and he's a dedicated, long-time missionary and an amazing pilot. So he does this full-time? He does this full-time. Wow. Yeah. And they also make extra income because they're going from one village to another or from a village to a larger city. So the people that live in the villages will pay a small amount of money to have their supplies then ferried down by plane. Okay. And so it's actually allowed them to make a little bit of money to make it's not really profitable, but it keeps the business running so that the church doesn't, have to pour all this money into it, that it can kind of sustain itself as it goes along. The great thing about this plane is that it was a gift from the World Church to Adventist Aviation, because the funds were provided through the mission offering and the 13th Sabbath offering, but also in Australia, the local churches went around at camp meetings over the summertime and they raised half of the cost of the plane. Oh, wow. So it was really a gift from the World Church to Adventist Aviation in Papua New Guinea. Great. Now, from the highlands of Papua New Guinea to a place like Sydney, Australia, totally different world. Very, very secular environment. Very hard. A pioneer can go into a village in Papua New Guinea and be accepted quickly and make friends and have success. You can go into a large city in Australia and people there just don't care about God. And you can say, hey, I want to become your friend, I want to get to know you, I want to share God with you. And they're like,
why should I care about God? It's a tough place. It's very hard to reach people.
Yeah, I grew up praying for the missionaries in the islands.
Yes.
But today there are far more Adventists in Papua New Guinea than there are in Australia and New Zealand combined.
Yeah.
Now,
Big challenge.
you also visited a church plant in Sydney. What was that?
It's Macquarie Fields, which is an area that has a rough history. In fact, there was a riot there probably about 5 years ago. And it's an economically down area. And the church has a school there. And they decided that they wanted to plant a church attached to the school. It's a great story.
Good. Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining us today. Appreciate it very much. Yes, Sydney, Auckland, New York, Chicago, I don't care where you talk about in terms of urban areas, tremendous challenge. How do we reach busy people, people who have agendas, people who've heard it all before and may not be open to the gospel? Well, let's travel to Sydney now. Let's go to the church in the fields and let's see how they are putting Christ's method into practice, where they're mingling, showing sympathy, ministering to needs, winning confidence, and slowly but surely they're leading people to Jesus Christ.
The city of Sydney is very much moving into a postmodern mindset where there is a deep yearning and a deep seeking for spiritual values. The Greater Sydney Conference is essentially the city of Sydney, has around 4 million people living in Sydney, and is the largest city in Australia. In Sydney we have about 77 congregations spread throughout the city with an average attendance of around 6,500 people from Sabbath to Sabbath. In Greater Sydney we've got some very exciting church plants happening. Macquarie Fields is a very socially disadvantaged area, and it's a segment of the population that as a Seventh-day Adventist church we haven't done well at reaching in the past.
We've got pre-kindergarten, which is 4-year-olds, right up to, at the moment, year 11, and they're 15, 16-year-olds, and then next year we're going into year 12, so and that will complete our package at the school. When I came in 2004, it was pretty evident that the area was in dire need of Jesus Christ. We had an incident that happened at the beginning of 2005, which is called the Macquarie Fields riots. And they went around the countryside as one of the most nastiest riots that they've had. And we were only a stone's throw from those riots. I felt so impressed that we had to move now, at that time, 2005, to do something about a church. I went to our conference personnel and said we've got to do something to help the families here, and if we can help them with their spiritual needs, then the emotional and the social needs can also be then met in some way, shape or form.
Work through everyone or speak through everyone of this department today and let people...
We believe that God has placed the church here to be the hands and feet of Jesus, to proclaim the gospel, but not just to proclaim it, to actually show it to people as well, and to live it out, because we are unusual in that we have a school and a church here. So we like to call ourselves a church that's here 7 days a week. We're Adventists 7 days a week.
Predominantly it's young students from our school and their families. We have students just coming to our school, to the church, because it's the school.
We all get breakfast in the morning, and then we'd all come and sit down and we'd do like testimony and giving, and we'd all just sit there, talk about God, and we'd sing songs and pray, and it's just so awesome.
It has a real family atmosphere, and basically you're just walking off the street and you're welcomed. You don't find that at a lot of churches.
We enjoyed the music, and it was just very relaxed and laid back, but it was still focused on God and the Bible.
My passion is that our schools around the world will take this up. To me, church is seven days. We're a 7-day church. We should be operating all through the week, doing all sorts of things, and it's just been my dream coming true to see that happening on the grounds here.
It's wonderful to see families worshipping together, and it's just so important to help our children catch a vision for sharing Jesus, a vision of mission to the world. And so we're producing resources to help share mission with our children. One of them is our secret. Well, it's not really a secret, but sometimes it feels that way because so many people don't know about it. Mission Cards for Kids is a simple resource to help children remember the mission stories they hear with a colourful reminder card. If you live in North America and you'd like to see a free sample set of these mission cards, just call us or visit our website and ask for Mission Cards for Kids or ask for offer number 302. Please remember to clearly state your name and address, and be sure to mention Mission Cards for Kids or offer 302. Again, if you'd like to receive a free sample set of these cards, simply call the toll-free number on your screen, 1-800-648-5824, and ask for Mission Cards for Kids or offer 302. Or just visit our website at adventistmission.org/offer 302. Well, that's it for today's program. Thank you again for your continuing support of Global Mission through your prayers, gifts, and personal involvement. For Adventist Mission, I'm Gary Krause, and I hope you can join us next time for Global Mission Snapshots.